I made other videos about this. Glasberry. Um, it's one of my sites, kind of. Well, I started building it, or I had people there, or I sent people there. I forget exactly what the deal was. But basically, people went there, people lived there, and people were living there. And pretty much they did really well. Well, we were doing some stuff, and I forget the details of it, but basically, we did pretty well. And I think they were sheep farmers or whatever. But I wish I could see the photographs of the town. And guess what? It's an LS town. Yeah, I mean totally LS. I mean really LS. The and later on years. Anyway, though, they said Adolf Hitler was from there or something like that. Anyway, though, they started making apple cider, and they also started making hard apple cider. I think I might have bought some land, or there's something about land. Anyway, there used to be huge apple orchards there. There was a cold spell, or something like that, and they had to switch over to sheep. I forget the detail. God darn, I wish I could remember all the details. Anyway, though, the town gets run down basically, and they're getting charged like 32% interest, or 32% tax or interest or something like that. And it's way too much. I'm like, 32%. But then again, they're making a lot of money, a lot of money. I mean, well, no, I mean, originally they weren't making a lot of money. No, they're just getting charged a lot of tax. Anyway, I find out about it. I'm like, well, that's not really fair, because they had no money at all, nothing, not even, things were falling apart. They had no money. They couldn't even afford to buy a new wagon or a new carriage or anything like that. So I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to change this around. And I forget what the deal was, but basically, I think I decided to build some more buildings or something like that. And we actually, I started one of my first bed and breakfasts, or something like that, there, where you could eat a meal, get a pint of cider or beer, and also do some other stuff. But I was like, okay, but we're gonna have to serve more than just mutton or whatever, or he said that, I forget. Where we were, it was one of my test cities where we were trying out the first, like some of those cities over there, they're really old, and it was some of those were like the first travel service. Yes, like I was gonna go into travel, like nobody does travel or done travel before, and it was like the first travel service where I was gonna use my carriages, and we were gonna charge people to go stay places. So these people were gonna be staying in other people's houses, kind of. So I built a house that was for this purpose, where people could be safe, because there was like some people opened up their houses and it didn't work out too well with being robbed and stuff. So we built a building over there. Anyway, though, it's a long story and I'm forgetting the detail. Ugh, I wish I could remember the details. Anyway, but Glasberry and a few of the other ones were basically, I owned them or bought them or built them or invested huge. I took all the tax money and I was like, okay, I'm going to reinvest it into the town. And they're like, so you're paying us now? It's like, yep, I'm paying you now. So they worked for me. So I owned their land and I owned their houses, and they basically worked for me. And I was like, well, but I don't really want to say I own your house, but because it's like it's your house, especially if you built it. So I was like, I don't kick people out. Yeah, because they were kind of worried at first. They're like, hey, no. And I don't kick people out. Now, if you're living there, you're living there, and that's the way it is. I'm LS, Lucifer, Lord of Germany, whatever. Anyway, so I was talking to them, and basically, so the missus, I love the missus. I love them. I really, really love them. So the missus, so the women, they gathered around and they thought about what they could do and stuff like that, to make to make some money and really kick it up a notch, because I wanted to do a really good town and everything else like that. And they did a beautiful job. I want to say that Glasberry and some of these other towns, they really, it was kind of like my first, somewhere around there, civilization, what is considered civilization, actually started. That was the very first term of what is civilization, and some of the very first factories ever, where it's mass-produced factories, basically, where you're mass-producing cider, where you're mass-producing, alcohol. some of those towns in Europe, those are the that's where it all started. That's where LS started, and that's where we really started. I mean, somewhere around there. That's where things got big. With my travel service and the misses, and they were cooking dinners and stuff like that, and people would come and they would stay, and we made so much money. Like people loved it. Like the whole towns would basically be like, they were like events and caterers to like the newcomers that would come into the town, and people would come and stay and then leave, and they made really nice, they made nice clothes for themselves, and I helped as much as I could, and paid them a lot of money and gave them materials and stuff like that, like Glasbury, and also stone from my stone quarry. Some of those cities, that's another thing, is that I gave them or loaned them stone from the stone quarry. So the towns are actually made from the stone from my stone quarry, and or one of my stone quarries. Oh, those were the days back then. We were all so hopeful and proud and happy, and it was before the war, and everyone was fine, and everyone was happy, and everything was working out perfectly, absolutely beautifully. I mean, I was their leader, and they were my people, and the sky was the limit, and those people. They're, I miss them. Those people, they would laugh. They'd be like, "Well, we have to save this. We have to save money for the master." It's like, she called me master. I was like, she called me master. Oh. Anyway, I would just melt with when my people would talk to me. And some of my people later on, when things were going bad, some of my people just had recordings of conversations or things that they wanted to tell me in the past. And the old man said, "Well, that's all I have is recordings." And anyway, there's some moments where it's like, it broke my heart. Like I said, I love my people. Absolutely. They were wonderful. So sometimes I'm just like, shoot me in the head. I don't even give a fuck anymore. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. Everybody just thinks about parties and money and power. They're the best people I ever knew. It was a good time, though. Everything I told them to do worked. It was wonderful. And there's a lot of money, a lot of power. Anyway. Yeah, like I say, I'm 100 trillion years old. Been through it. So, good times, bad times. All the little babies, all the children. Hard times. Times of war. As I say, sometimes I could take black people and just or take someone and just the amount of pain that they caused, the amount of everything they did. We had to start an army and go after them. There were people attacking the towns, people stealing. Someone had to do something. So, that's what my people said. Someone has to do something, so we started. We created a mine, we did this, we did that. They lived, I guess. They're still there, so I got worried sometimes. At one point I was like, where are my people? I love them. Absolutely love them. I'd move. They'd always said, he'd move heaven and earth for us. Well, mountains anyway. Yes. I would. Whole armies, ships, everything. Whatever I could give. I really, really cared.